in life. You're going to have to take chances. You're going to have to risk it. You're going to have to get ballsy. On tonight's show, Bindles and I review what happened in the NFL in Week 10, and we look ahead to Week 11. Hop in the chat. Let us know your questions, your waivers, your sit starts, your rest of season outlooks, and let's get right into it.
Because I'm ballsy. I don't take no shit from anyone. Because I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. Anywhere I want.
Ayo.
Ayo.
What's up, Bindles? How we doing, brother?
Oh, good, man. You know, life, it hits you sometimes and you got to hit it back. Week 11, we got this. Yeah, man. It's can you believe it's already been 10 weeks? It's been pretty crazy.
Don't blink.
Joe Burrow might be coming back earlier than anticipated. Yeah, man, I'm excited. How about you?
I'm very excited. I mean, just to name a few, Joe Burrow might be coming back right in time for the fantasy playoffs. Garrett Wilson looking like he's going to miss even more time. Bucky Irving, never heard of him. You know, didn't even exist this season. What the hell is going on? But, man, I'm feeling good, feeling better every day. Happy to be here. Happy that we're on together. It's going to be fun. We can review kind of what went on in Week 10 and look forward to Week 11. I've got the schedule pulled up for Week 11. We've got the chat pulled up with questions already firing off. And before we get too deep into it, I just wanted to say, Jonathan Taylor, Devon Achane, Jahmyr Gibbs, the three running backs with the three highest running back game performances and fantasy points on the entire season. All three of them happened. The top three, all in Week 10. You know, JT puts up 48 points in half PPR. Achane with almost 38 points and Gibbs with almost 37. It was a running backs week. It really was. Breaking the slate on the running back side. The QBs, the tight ends, the wide receivers didn't matter so much. I mean, the running backs are getting it done. And it's just kind of one of those seasons where, I mean, you got to have one of these top running backs. You really do, right? It is just incredible.
Yeah, man. It's what last year running backs were what you needed, and this year, I mean, we have a lot better wide receivers than we did last year, obviously, but JT just absolutely cooking the earth right now, and doesn't look like he's going to stop anytime soon. CMC, Achane, even Josh Jacobs, James Cook, like we got some very good running backs, and I think, you know, the balanced approach will survive another year and move on. I think every year, you know, there was zero RB for a little bit where that was in vogue, and then last year, obviously, with the older running backs hitting. But now it's kind of like there's a lot of young running backs that are pretty exciting too.
For sure.
And so, yeah, you know, I think the NFL is cyclical, and we're kind of going back to some good running backs and teams that are willing to run the ball, and it's a good combo for fantasy. So
No doubt.
Make a little note. I know you said you're making notes for next year, but got to make sure we note down. Don't become too zero RB pilled. We have to, you know, pick and choose our spots.
I'm gonna quote. You saying that now, but months from now we're gonna be you know, listening to RotoViz. We're gonna be stealing signals. We're gonna be, you know, in the thick of it, and we're gonna be right back to our zero RB roots. You already know that.
I mean, very fair, very fair.
Hey, Luther Burden looking like, I mean, maybe it's a little too late, but Luther Burden about to take over the DJ Moore role, getting more involved in the offense going forward for the final stretch could be a real thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Luther Burden is an extremely talented player. And And we
Tons
see
of swag.
dude, so much dog. Big, fast, a weapon with the ball in his hands. Yeah, man. I think every year we see some guys just come on week 8, week 9, week 10, rookie wide receivers, and just absolutely cook. So it could be his time, right? DJ Moore had a pretty scary looking thing happen, and he's also just kind of, I don't know, he's been kind of like a weird guy, or he's not giving too much effort. So definitely a guy that could tail off. And I think who's the beneficiary of all these things is Luther Burden. So yeah, man. Hopefully our bags can get some life breathed into them. And I don't know. I think we're looking pretty good.
We're feeling good.
Yeah.
We're getting ballsy tonight. Another rookie that I've been pretty fond of. I started him in my home league in my flex, where we start. It's half PPR. We start through wide receivers. We have a flex. It's super flex. I started Tez Johnson for the first time, and man, did that pay off. Finished as a top 10, top 7 wide receiver on the week with his 2 touchdowns. He's not really getting the target share. Shout out to Josh and Hayden. The 11% target share, but he's getting it done with the air yard share and the touchdowns. Anyone attached to a Baker Mayfield offense is going to have the potential to put up points. We saw it with Jalen McMillan last season. This season, we're seeing it kind of come on with Tez Johnson lately. He's a rookie that I'm excited about, a guy that I'm not afraid to flex or start as a wide receiver 3 going forward. And sometimes you get lucky, but sometimes there's enough signal there where it's like, yeah, this guy's getting involved and you're attached to Baker Mayfield, good things can happen. So that's another rookie on the wide receiver side. Tez Johnson, Luther Burden, 2 guys. Rest of season outlook is looking like the arrow's pointing up.
Yeah, man. Tez Johnson, if a guy can make the NFL and weigh 145 pounds, he's probably pretty good at something, right? Like it's an outlier situation. And yeah, man, great offense. Baker Mayfield absolutely cooking. And yeah, Godwin, who knows when he'll be back. So I definitely agree with your take. And it's always nice to have a guy where we can your usable guy later on in the season is pretty nice in a lot of leagues. So,
hell yeah! Shout out to Hartman in the chat. How we doing, brother? Hope your week is starting off well. Hope your week 10 was solid. Good to see you, my man. We got Captain Clutch Pants in the house. What's up, brother? How we doing? Fantasy Dog, of course, the OG. My man, holding it down. Hope you're doing good, my man. Good to see you. Good to see you. We're gonna line these questions up. Captain Clutch Pants was getting into some questions. I kind of answered it in the chat. We had some slight technical difficulties getting started, but we're here and we're excited to be here. So thanks for joining us on a Tuesday night. The Ballsy boys are back in season, and make sure you slap that like. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Subscribe to Bindles at Bindles90 on YouTube as well. And who else we got in here? We got, of course, Quincy. What's up, brother? Quincy Jones, the GOAT, Neil Orfield. My man, how we doing, brother? Always good to see you. We got Champagne 7 in here. So let's get into these questions. So the first one, I'll throw it to Bendels. I kind of gave like a quick answer, but Captain Clutch wants to know. He's sitting 6-4. He's sitting pretty. I mean, he's if things go right the next couple of weeks, he's a lock for his 12-man league playoffs, right? He's got Dart, who might be concussed, so we got to figure something out there, but there's plenty of QBs to go around. CMC, Derrick Henry, so strong at running back. Rice London, strong at the top of the end of the receiver. He's got Teteroy McMillan, Loveland, the Denver defense. Benson hoping to come back from the injury, but we don't know when. DJ Moore just had the shoulder injury. Hubbard got benched for Dowdle. What do I do, if anything? He'd love to flip Henry for an upgrade. My instant reaction was, well, Henry has kind of a nice rest of season schedule, but I think you definitely need to do something to improve a little bit with so many of your bench players being kind of low-end flex and kind of waiting on them to come back. But what do you kind of see as moving parts here, Bindles? Something he could do to improve other than picking up a QB while Dart's out. And Dart's been crushing it as well, obviously.
Yeah, I think this is one of those situations where I think I would try to package a few of these bench guys. I mean, because yeah, CMC obviously you don't want to move him. Henry, I still don't think you want to move him. I think the Ravens are still, set up pretty well rest of the season. Rice, London, Tet, Loveland. I mean, yeah. So if you can maybe pair a few of those bench guys and just see what you can get, try to upgrade. You don't really need the depth at all. That's really all I can see that stands out a ton.
Sure.
But yeah, I think if you are 6-4, obviously getting a QB like you said before would be number one. So yeah, if you can trade Hubbard, Benson, or something, even for a QB, just a usable QB for a couple weeks, if depending on what's going on with Dart, then that would be my first move. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like no move is the best move, and I think the longer I play fantasy football, I realize that is like sometimes naturally we're tweakers. Like if you like to always be tweaking, always try to improve your team, but I think generally that's a good thing. And like obviously that just shows you're interested, you're going to be more involved, and that's a good thing overall. But at the same time, sometimes it can get too much. So I would say, yeah, get a QB, but other than that, like don't sweat the small stuff. So
Sure. One thing I noticed was like Christian McCaffrey's going to have that week 14 bye. Same thing with Tedroy McMillan. So then potentially two of your starters that you're currently in your starting lineup are on the bye in week 14. Maybe Benson's back by then. Maybe DJ Moore is healthy by then. The only thing I could think about would be, could you pair up Tedroy McMillan, who's been fine, but his ceiling is really capped in that Panthers offense where they want to run the ball so much. He is the obvious alpha, the prime target, but maybe it's just not his year to get it done in fantasy. Maybe that's next year or the next year. So I could see a point where you could just say, okay, well, T-Mac has that week 14 bye. Let me go ahead and pair him up with maybe someone who's inactive right now, like a DJ Moore, or someone else you have on your bench. Like I don't know if you can get anything for Hubbard, but can you move the T-Mac piece and get a guy who's already had his bye and just kind of get +1 game that way and kind of trade within a tier? Is just kind of strategically what I'm maybe thinking. Could be overthinking it, like Bindles is saying, but I think that's about as far as I would go. And then my only recommendation is, and it's going to be hard to do it because we just saw Henderson pop off and no one's going to want to trade Henderson right now. But could you go get Harvey or Woody Marks, who I think have a nice stretch rest of season, and that becomes more like a viable flex play. So, some direction there, but I think you're in a good spot, 6-4, so you don't want to mess it up, like Bindles was saying. Quincy, what's up, brother? How good is RJ Harvey going to be? Top blank, especially in PPR, which is actually nice for him. He's already got that role, right? We know Dobbins hadn't done much in the receiving game. Does he have potential to be this year's Chase Brown or Bucky? It's late in the season. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull up some of the stats I got on the screen for RJ Harvey so we can kind of conceptualize like how good he's actually been. But before I pull that up, I just want to throw it over to Bindles. How do you see this going forward with RJ Harvey? The one thing I'll say, the recent news we heard today, there's rumors that J.K. Dobbins could go to IR. If not, he's at least hampered coming out of week 10 with an injury.
I think that's huge. I think Harvey is a super talented player. Like obviously we loved him coming out. We like the landing spot for the Broncos. But yeah, Dobbins has been not spectacular, but like he's a veteran player that they're not just going to throw to the side. So if there's any chance for Harvey to take over a bigger role, which it looks like there is, then I definitely want to be buying in. Like this is the time to do it because I do think he is a very talented player. With the receiving work, we've already seen him kind of pop off with some of that receiving work, and he's a super explosive guy as well. So even if he doesn't get 20 touches, if he gets 15, 16 touches, he can be super hyper efficient on those touches. So yeah, I'm very in on RJ Harvey.
He's involved in the passing game. He's hyper efficient. He's scoring touchdowns. If you guys haven't already seen this, I aggregate the running back data week in, week out. So this is just through the first 10 weeks. How are our running backs doing? And we'll go to RJ Harvey to get a little use case. But the column I want you guys to focus on here is this one kind of in the middle. It's highlighted in gold, goes to black. It is the fantasy points per touch for half point PPR. So let's look. The clear leader with extremely high volume with 219 touches on the season through 10 games, 1.18 fantasy points per touch is Sir Jonathan Taylor with 17 total touchdowns. Incredible. Christian McCaffrey coming in at a respectable 0.86 fantasy points per touch. So anything above a 0.8 is very respectable. Anything below a 0.7 is a little bit suspect, a little bit volume dependent. So this is sorted by the percentage of the running backs RB1 and 20 point plus RB performances. So that's what we're seeing here in these percentages here. Scroll down just a little bit, kind of out of our top 10, but not too far down. We'll get to RJ Harvey, who his best week, he put up 23.6. He's only averaging about 8.7 fantasy points per game, but he's averaging 1.17 fantasy points per touch. Super efficient, super elite, tier to be in, right next to Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, he's not getting anywhere near the volume, and you would assume as the sample size of volume goes up, his efficiency might go down a little bit. But on 75 touches, he is super efficient. He has 6 touchdowns. So keep in mind, 1.17 fantasy points per touch for RJ Harvey. He's only been averaging about 8 touches per game. Imagine if that doubles. If he's getting 15 touches per game, he's going to be averaging 15, 16, 17 fantasy points per game. We'll scroll down a bit. Let's go find where J.K. Dobbins has been. We got to keep scrolling, but eventually we get there. J.K. Dobbins at 0.67 fantasy points per touch on 164 touches. Yeah, the sample size is a lot bigger, and so it's going to bring down his average points per touch unless you're just Jonathan Taylor, but only 4 touchdowns, and he's averaging 16 touches per game. Let's assume that Dobbins misses some time. He vacates some of that workload to Harvey naturally, even if he's healthy. But if this flips, if we see Harvey getting about 15 plus touches per game, we're assuming he's going to be around that 15 fantasy points per game with the elite upside ceiling to have a 24 point kind of week. We've seen a week where Harvey had a 2 touchdown game, and I think the rest of the season he's one of the most intriguing running backs to get a piece of on an offense that has a really strong offensive line, a really strong defense, and potentially some good, game scripts going forward. We're going to want to run the ball out. You see Bidet or other kind of satellite backs get involved for the Broncos if Dobbins does miss some time, but Harvey should see the majority, I think, of the work. And I think the window is closing very fast for you to be able to trade for this guy because people are going to catch on and they're not going to want to get rid of him.
Yeah, very well put. Young, explosive player. We want to be buying into that versus the old veteran who has been fine, but nothing spectacular. Like that's where you make your money. So,
hell yeah. What else we got? We got Putt Daddy in here. How we doing, brother? Of course, Billy Hartman. Good to see you guys. We have a question here. So that was kind of Quincy saying rest of season, RJ Harvey. I think top 15 running back is very attainable, like very realistic, and it could be better than that, especially in PPR. I think it's a little bit late in the season to be this year's Chase Brown or Bucky Irving, just given that, he's been splitting the workload all season long. But in a similar way where Bucky kind of came on late in the season when he was splitting work with Rashad White, I think, to some degree, like he could be something like that. I just don't think he ever gets to the Bucky territory where Bucky Irving was getting towards 20 touches per game.
Yeah.
Unless Dobbins is actually sent to the IR, and then it's just like Harvey is not only taking over Dobbins' existing workload, which is like 15 to 18 touches per game, but then like absorbing like that and more because their running back room is thinned out.
Yeah, there's definitely upside. If that is the case, then yeah, to take top 15 is definitely too low if that's the case. So, yeah,
I think RJ
buy.
Harvey's one of the biggest buys. I was recommending. My brother was asking me. He didn't know what to do. He needs a running back, and he was like, "Should I trade Nico Collins for Tedroy McMillan and Dobbins?" And I was like, "Hold. First off, not the time to go 1 for 2. We want to be
Yep.
consolidating upwards, and so you want Nico Collins, who just had one of his better games, and then." At the same time, the whole Dobbins injury situation, I'm actually targeting Harvey. So I recommended you out and try to get like a Harvey if you can. Let's go to the next question. So Quincy was saying to rank these, we get the Patriots at home versus the New York Jets on Thursday, of course. The Packers away versus the New York Giants, who could be without Dart. And if it's Russell Wilson, yikes for the Giants and all their pieces too, right? Also, the Ravens away at Cleveland. Cleveland looks somewhat competent with Dylan Gabriel. They're just totally fine, right? So we're not so worried about them. And then the Chargers away versus Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville is also competent. So just, off the top of my head, I think the Patriots versus the Jets is the most interesting, except for the fact that the Packers away versus the Giants just could be easily the one you want if Dart is not playing. Defensive matchups for the week.
Yeah, these are all really good.
They're all good options.
Yeah.
I'm between those two.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of feel like Packers.
Packers. I think I'm gonna slightly into the Packers because the Jets are still somewhat competent. I mean, even with Garrett Wilson out now, Breece Hall had a nice game. I was a little bit surprised how nice of a game Breece had, even without scoring. Or he scored a reception touchdown, but he didn't break the 20-point threshold even with all that activity. Shout out to Neil Orfield, the man, respecting the flannel, of course, got to represent. Quincy wants to know PPR, RJ Harvey or Trey Benson rest of the season. It's easily RJ Harvey for me. Not only have we not seen a single thing for Trey Benson, but he's been gone and we don't know when he's coming back. The Cardinals, terrible team. The Broncos, a good team. And I think RJ Harvey's already kind of shown it. So if RJ Harvey can consolidate some of those touches or take over that workload from Dobbins, needless to say, if Dobbins is injured, but like easily RJ Harvey for me, even with Dobbins active, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't. We haven't seen anything from Benson. Like we were talking about it last week. Like he didn't get any time to cook. He could be something, but it's like Harvey. Like we've seen him be explosive. We've seen him in his limited touches be really good. So definitely want to lean on that side with the upside for Dobbins to be out.
No doubt. Yo, what's up, Hulk Smash Potatoes? We got Josh Willie in the house. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday night. Good start to your week and looking forward to winning your matchups in week 11 because that's all that matters. We're getting close to the fantasy playoffs, so let's get it done. Champagne, what's up, brother? Should I roster the Jags DST in advance of the next two matchups and take a hit this game against the Los Angeles Chargers? I am rostering the Jaguars DST in one of my high stakes leagues. If I'm just going to peek at their kind of schedule going forward, I'm pulling it up right now. So Jacksonville this week, we know they're going to be playing the Chargers. It's a tough matchup, but they're at least the home team. Then they get at the Arizona Cardinals and at the Tennessee Titans. They finish it out with the Colts, the Jets, the Broncos, and the Colts again. There's enough decent matchups in there. Defensively, I feel like defense you can pretty easily stream it. We just mentioned a bunch of good options. Like Patriots are going to be owned in your league, Packers are going to be owned in your league. But if one of those are available, that's probably a better matchup. I think taking advantage of a matchup against the Cardinals and Titans is smart. So if you've got an extra bench spot, you could have an extra defense on your bench. But I typically don't love hoarding defenses. I just kind of attempt to stream them week to week. Any other thoughts there on that, Bindles?
No, it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. Cham wants to know, would you trade Shakir and Judkins for Saquon? Thoughts on that?
It depends on how deep your league is, but I don't think Saquon is like, well, I feel like Saquon still has some name value, but he hasn't really been that crazy. And I think Judkins should score relatively similar, like within a couple points. So I think I'd rather have the Judkins and Shakir side, given if it's like you're actually going to be able to use Shakir. Like if it's a really one flex league or something, then I'd rather just have Saquon. But any league where it's a little bit deeper, then I'd rather have the extra usable guy.
Totally makes sense to me. If you're starting Judkins, but Shakir's on your bench and you don't really need him, then I could see a case to upgrade to Saquon, but I don't think it's that big of an upgrade. I think it's a slight upgrade. I think we've seen Saquon have a higher ceiling, but about the same floor compared to Judkins, and the ceiling's not even really that much higher, but we just know the Eagles are a better team than the Browns, and so that kind of gets you access to maybe more touchdowns. At the same time, Jalen Hurts is sniping touchdowns left and right, so it's not the same season, clearly, between 2024 and 2025 for Saquon. The breakaway runs aren't really there, the big plays, but if you can get Saquon and you feel like you're not giving up another starting position, you're just kind of upgrading. I'd say it's an upgrade within a tier. I think Judkins and Saquon are in the same tier for me at this point, and it might even just come down to rest of season schedule to some degree.
100% agree. Ball.
Neil wants to know, can we get the rookies going in time to help my advance rates? We need some RJ Harvey, some Luther Burden, who we've talked about both of these guys. We like them. Some Tootin, a little bit of Tootin, who, man, we need that guy to get more involved in disappointing week 10. He said, let's go. So we've talked about RJ Harvey. We talked about Burden in the intro. Bindles, what's going on here with Tootin? What do you any insight on Tootin? Anything to read into? Any hope?
I think there's always Tootin hope. I just think he's been good when he's been given opportunity. I mean, it's obviously not exactly the same as Harvey, but I mean, pretty similar case of just like, we know the guy is explosive. He almost never gets any negative plays. He's just good at football, and that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be anything. But is there hope? Yes, I definitely think there's still hope, because he's getting some touches, and so he can always just pop one off, and he has pretty good contingent value as well. So yeah, it's not like anything right now, and it isn't the case that we were expecting going into the season where he just kind of takes over. But
right,
there's definitely still some hopium, some copium for the rest of the season, I think, that could pay off.
True. How we doing, Nate Llanos? What's up, brother? I think for me, with Tootin, I'm just a little bit disappointed that his snap share is so low and his touch share is so low. I wanted to see him maybe more involved in the passing game. He has had kind of a nice role in the red zone, but not a lot of opportunities. And then I can't imagine a tougher schedule for like the past 4 or 5 weeks in terms of the defenses he's faced in the matchups against the run game. So it can only get better, but at the same time, I haven't seen enough yet. He's of the rookie running backs that always had kind of a timeshare role or needed to take over from a veteran. He's definitely got, I think, the toughest path forward when you consider guys like Woody Marks is now relegating Nick Chubb to the bench. Travion Henderson is taking over for the injured Ramondre and probably not giving back any kind of serious role to Ramondre, even with health. You would assume based on his performance, but we just never know. But at the same time, RJ Harvey, we talked about him taking over. Mon and guys become a 1B to Swift's 1A. So there's just there's so many cases of rookie running backs becoming like the 1B or even just the outright top dog in their backfield. And I feel like with Tootin, it's still he's more of an afterthought and he's more of a rotational piece, and it's just a little bit disappointing. Maybe it's only more opportunity going forward. We just haven't seen any indication of that.
Happens.
It happens. Putt Daddy says, I hate to have a wide receiver with Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, but who's the better keep, Jacoby Myers or Parker Washington? I'm going to toss this one to Bindles because I don't know. Honestly, I can't tell you.
Oh man, this is rough. I still feel like I think Parker Washington has a little bit more big play potential.
Oh, really?
I mean, he is like a kick returner and like he's pretty explosive.
He's pretty electric.
Yeah, he's pretty electric.
He's 23. He's fast. Penn State, if I'm not mistaken, is that Penn State?
Yeah.
Penn State guy.
This guy must have won Best Ball Jeopardy or something. What the hell? Have
you seen this, Bindles? Have you seen this?
No, I didn't.
My wife moved it, but have you seen this yet?
Hell yeah. No, I haven't. Dude, that's worth its weight in gold right there.
It's very heavy. Heavyweight being the best ball champion. If I don't win Best Ball Mania, at least I have this.
Hey, it's no consolation prize.
Incredible. Shout out to the Fanspeak Network. Love those guys.
Yes, they are the best. But I don't know. I feel like that said, I still feel like I lean Myers for like consistency reasons, which I mean, he's probably not that consistent. This guy's switching teams midseason and he's 29 now. And I still think I lean Myers though.
Toot toot. We're sad about Tootin. I mean, the one thing you can say about Tootin that's good is like he scored 3 touchdowns. We're just 10 games into the season. They played 9 games, and I think ETN has also had like a really, really low ceiling, only has 4 touchdowns himself. There's just not a whole lot to go around. They've had some tough matchups, but just not an offense that's like killing it in the run game. So
yeah,
tough. But yeah, I still have some faith in Jacoby Myers, I think, but Parker Washington's kind of exceeded my expectations. Yeah, Dobbins potentially going to IR. Just we're hearing some rumors. We don't know yet if it's substantiated or not. I want to say it was an ankle that happened for Dobbins. I'd have to look at the reports, but off my top of my head, I thought it was an ankle that might have happened. I don't think I caught it live. I didn't notice, but I heard about it. So maybe he played through it is what we were seeing.
Definitely one to monitor. Yeah, like very closely.
Harvey and Henderson late season breakouts going crazy. I mean, it's about time. We need these guys to just pay off their round 4 price tags that we were investing in all summer long. So it's not too late, but we need some. We've seen one big game out of Harvey. We've seen now a big game out of Henderson and backed it up the big playability. So looking pretty good. Billy says I went from having 3 viable tight ends in Kittle, Kincaid, and Gadsden to just Kittle now. Well, at least you're ping-ponging between because, Kittle missed the whole beginning of the season. Kincaid and Gadsden, we just don't know. And so, yeah, I mean, you're in a good spot there with at least Kittle. Got the flannel going. It's the perfect time of the year. I mean, it's still hot where I'm at, but I'm layering up as well. Breaking out the flannel. Quincy wants to know, another thing to keep in mind is how difficult RJ Harvey's schedule is week 13 onwards, I believe. I'd have to pull that up. Let's look into that though, because they just went up against the Texans. So that's a pretty tough matchup. But just looking ahead, the Chiefs, a very tough matchup for the Broncos. Run game, the Commanders, I think is fair. The Raiders, maybe some opportunity there. The Packers, a very tough matchup. The Jaguars, a fair matchup. And then again, the Chiefs in week 17. So the Chiefs twice is a little bit daunting, and the Packers sandwiched in there. It's not the easiest schedule. I think we'll have to rely on the opportunity at least, if Dobbins misses time or if Harvey can just take over the role a little bit is kind of where I'm coming from. But it's a good point. Quincy brings in. This late in the season, you really do have to consider the strength of schedule and the rest of season schedule, because we have so much information through 10 weeks on how good these defenses and these teams are against certain positions, or, the run game or the pass game. And we also have an idea. So we really know, like, the Chiefs and the Packers are a tough matchup for opposing running backs. But then also, it's so opportunity driven at this point, right? How we doing, Hulk Smash? Good to see you. Russell Wilson, yikes, is right. Jameis Winston time, hopefully soon. Could be. I'm a Jameis Winston fan. Kind of surprised how quickly the whole Russell Wilson scenario has gone bad for not only the Broncos in the last couple of years, but then the Giants again this year. And Dart starting, what was that, week 4? Was it week 4 when Dart had got the start? It was pretty quicker than I supposed. Josh says, what's up, guys? Need some tight end help with Kraft out. Got Kate Otten right now. Schultz on waiver wire. Do I make a trade for Fan and Kittle? I think you go for Schultz. Schultz has been money. In tight end premium, Schultz is holding it down. He is getting a fair amount of targets and yards, and that Texans offense is pretty consolidated. And even with Davis Mills getting a start, Davis Mills was the top QB on the week with 27 plus fantasy points. And I want to say with Davis Mills, it's not like you're getting a big downgrade for either Nico Collins or Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz having a season high 11 targets and 7 season high and 11 targets, and then 7 receptions to go with that. This last week he did have that touchdown against the Jags. So I'm going to go Dalton Schultz. I don't think you need to pay up to get Kittle because he's not going to be cheap. And then Fannin, rest of season outlook, I think Schultz is in the same tier for me. Any other thoughts on that, Bindles, or would you really consider trying to upgrade? I just think because Schultz is free, I would go for that. Kate Otten's not a bad choice either. I think Schultz is a slight advantage over Otten.
Dude, I'd rather have Schultz. Otten is just so, he's like the definition of not even mid, but just ass. Like, he's just not good. I feel like Schultz at least he's at least getting targets. I don't know.
He is.
I'm a Schultz apologist, which is a weird thing to admit to people online, but I actually don't think I think people overhate him.
Yeah, somehow. Billy has a great point here. Thanks for your response, Billy. Appreciate it in the chat. Anytime we ask a question, anyone in the chat asks a question, I think I always prefer if the chat also answer, because we're trying to get consensus, and sometimes you guys know, even more than we do and what's going on. So it's always great. I'd always advise, let's participate, be active in the chat, help each other out, ask a question, answer a question, and then we'll get the best consensus on what we should be doing in week 11. So Billy has a good point. Kind of what I was thinking. The price on Kittle is high because of the name value relative and to other guys. And then he's probably the best option there if you can get the elite guy, but what do you have to pay for it? Kate Otten seems fine. I just would say, I'd reiterate, I'd slightly lean to Dalton Schultz over Kate Otten. Nate Llanos says he traded Kyron and Baker for Bijan. Good or not? Brother, you just got away with highway robbery. I love that. It's the perfect time of the season to consolidate upwards to the players who are the best in fantasy. Has Bijan had the best stretch of games lately? No. Has he been scoring a lot of touchdowns lately? No. Only 4 touchdowns in the season, but he has 178 total touches. He's still averaging about 0.9 fantasy points per touch, getting 20 touches per game. So Algier gets a touchdown in week 10. Can that be Bijan going forward? Sure. Does Algier have kind of that goal line role? Yes, but we know Bijan's scoring from anywhere on the field, and the Falcons' offense is capable. They're not looking great lately, but Kyron, I would say, he's scored more. He's got 8 touchdowns, twice as many touchdowns, but he's got Bijan has almost 1,200 yards. Kyron's got just over 800. There's a big difference there. I think the difference to me in the utilization, the number of high value touches for Bijan, it's still there. The work in the passing game, does Corum get more involved for Kyron? The Rams are looking good, so it's a better offense, no doubt. I think Bijan's at the higher ceiling and kind of a safer floor too compared to Kyron, but It just comes down to, did you even need Baker? Because if it's straight up Bijan in your starting position over Kyron, easy win. Baker's been up and down, so the brain says Bijan, the heart says Bijan. I think you made a good trade there.
I like it.
We like it. Yo, what's up? We got Nihal in the chat. We got Frosty, Paulino. Good to see you, brother. And Galaxy Pickers. What's up, my man? Always good to see you. Make sure you guys slap that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to Bindles channel as well. Of course, if you're new, if for some reason you haven't been here all summer, drafting with us, talking ball with us, you know where to find it. We got Bindles channel in the description. Also his Twitter, my Twitter, False on Twitter. And hit the notification or the bell on YouTube so you know when we're going live. Catch us live. Come jump in the chat. Say what up. All that good stuff. Thanks for being here, guys, on a Tuesday night. Yeah, Billy's really, I think it's a good perspective here. The Algier use is like we were saying, it's a little bit of a thorn in the kind of the situation there for Bijan, but we hope it can get better. I think Bijan just has like the ability to be one of the top 3-4 running backs in the league, and so you're kind of betting on that.
Yeah, I agree. Upside.
But yeah, full upside. I think Kyron's not too far off with how well the Rams are playing, the way that Stafford is carrying this offense, and they're scoring so many touchdowns per game. So it's reasonable to be like, oh, I think it's honestly a fair trade if someone really needed a Baker QB and you're helping them out in that way. But I like the running back situation for Bijan.
Yeah.
It ideally it's obviously Bijan, but like realistically, could it be close down the stretch on a per game basis? Yeah, it could be pretty close between those two guys.
Definitely could be, yeah.
Nate Giannis says he also has London, so it's definitely a risk knowing the Falcons offense. And I've seen some coach speak lately. I was just looking at what Raheem Morris, head coach of the Falcons, was saying about Michael Penix. And, they're expecting him to play better. They think they see it in him. They think he has the ability to do it. They got the players around him to be better. They're encouraging him, to kind of use his natural athletic ability and get through his progressions and use his athleticism and exploit the defenses. And I think that they're going to lean into London and Bijan a lot going forward to make that happen and just kind of focus on their top players. And so I think Penix can support 2 strong fantasy pieces going forward. I really do.
Yeah, I definitely think so. He's like, Penix is like so weird because I think he's a little hot and cold where he'll like kind of like go through like really good, which is like most quarterbacks, I guess. But yeah, he's definitely good enough to support those 2 guys.
Oh, that's right. Paulino brings it up. It was the hip drop tackle. I saw it on Twitter. I don't know if I saw it like live, but I saw it on Twitter. I saw Dobbins talking about it. I actually saw. So yeah, he has his ankle rolled up on exactly what I had heard. So that just like totally reminded me. That totally clicked. I saw someone else talking about this, about Dobbins' tweet where Dobbins was, I think he was like very upset about it and kind of calling out the league for like either have to ban these things or like call them better.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw that.
Fair.
Yeah. Sean Payton about to make Tyler Bidet the RB1. This is also facts and a little bit of like why we've been worried about Harvey this whole season. We were so optimistic during the summer, and then Sean Payton's pretty unpredictable, but I think we're past that. I think we're past that. We'll have to see. Frosty says, in a start 7 full PPR league, his QB's Hurts. Very nice. He's got Brown and Dowdle and Warren. I like that. Charbonnet riding the bench. Not a bad room there. Not the most top heavy, but you've made it work. I can see that. Especially with Brown having a slow start, but Dowdle's come in clutch. Warren's been very serviceable most weeks. Wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, so we're surviving through. Brian Thomas Jr., yikes. Keenan Allen, nice. Pittman, very nice. So your wide receivers end up being strong. McBride, of course. Who should I package to upgrade at running back or wide receiver? I don't know that I would move too much. I'm curious what your record is. I don't think you can get much for Brian Thomas Jr., but it might just be like a sell low on him if you're trying to move someone. And like, can you just rely on Brown and Dowdle going forward and then package maybe BTJ and I'm assuming that's not Tyler Warren, but Jalen Warren, of course, obviously. So then like a Jalen Warren plus BTJ, can you get a slightly better flex? And what that would be for a running back, it's hard to say. It's just depending on like what you can get. But something in the realm of, for me, like Judkins would be worth it. I think Derrick Henry could be worth it. Breece Hall might even be worth it, even though the Jets are kind of a slight avoid situation. From a wide receiver perspective, I'll have to think about like that in terms of what's really worth it lately. If I look from week 6 to week 10 for wide receiver stats, and then I'm just going on like a per game, I'm trying to look like a top 24 wide receiver for you. There's a lot of names in there you wouldn't expect. I, you know, is it worth going after like AJ Brown or Chris Olave? Is that too expensive? Do you think you could get
You might.
Jalen Waddle?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get one of those guys.
It's hard. It's hard when you get in redraft later on in the season. It's like the guys who have been doing well the last couple of weeks, it's like no one really wants to trade them away. So, and it's kind of hard to buy low to a certain extent. Yeah, I think AJ Brown is a good one.
Yeah, I would still want it. Like if you're benching Warren and BTJ currently, and then you're like flexing Pittman or or even if one of those guys is in your lineup, but if you can upgrade to like an AJ Brown or he's in your lineup, I think I'd prefer that. So I think you have the right idea here, Frosty, like trying to consolidate upwards and get a better player in your starting lineup. And BTJ hasn't been the worst lately, and I know he's kind of dealing with an injury himself, but he might be taking over a bigger role just with now we know Travis Hunter's out for this season. So there's some hope there. I'm kind of picking on him because he's the easiest one to think you might want to trade or like sell low. Maybe you want to trade Keenan Allen, who has actually been even worse, relatively lately, and maybe still carries some cachet with his name. So if you would want to package up Keenan Allen with one of those running backs like Charbonnet or Warren, and you can get an upgrade, I would try to target someone who's been producing lately. The trick is like you want to swing high with that, because otherwise you might as well just pick up someone on waivers. Like, is Alec Pierce available on waivers? Is Parker Washington? And we're about a week too late for some of those names, but it seems like every other week one of those guys is popping up and becoming relevant. Demario Douglas is kind of relevant lately. Luther Burden, we were talking about him in the beginning. He's going to be relevant with DJ Moore potentially missing time or just taking on a bigger role himself. So I think there's some names in there you might be able to get without necessarily trading as well that could be a guy you're considering flexing. And you got Pittman out this week. You're going to have Keenan Allen out next week. You're going to have Rico Dowdle out for week 14. So you're already planning on a few more buys that you might want to plan around, is kind of what I'm saying there. How we doing, Trone Force? We got Jelly of the Month in here. What's up, fellas? Let's see. But you got Nihal is saying he wants us to start 2. Roma Dunze had a nice bounce back week. AJ Brown, Lad, or Travion with no Ramondre. So hand up. Last week, I was advising to start DeAndre Swift above Travion Henderson. I flipped. BBG was right the whole time. It was a Travion Henderson breakout week, and I think we got to ride that going forward. The Patriots are one of the best teams. Drake May can get it done. And if Ramondre's out, he's consolidating some of those touches, especially also with Terrell Jennings is out too. So For me, it's easily Travion is the best start in this group. The rest of it's going to be kind of matchup dependent. Honestly, I'm a little bit torn there because I'm just looking at the matchups here. You have Roma Dunze versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that has to be.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. That was week 9. I don't know why I just hit the back button. It went back 2 weeks. And as soon as I said it, I knew that was wrong. You have the Chicago Bears against the Minnesota Vikings. I think that's explodable. I think that's not a bad spot for Rome. You have AJ Brown. Where am I seeing the Eagles this week? I just saw it. Where'd it go? Oh, it's the Sunday night game. There it is. At home against Detroit. That's kind of a fun matchup. I think that could be a good one to target. And then you have Lad. We were talking about them being at Jacksonville. So, for wide receivers, you're matching up against the Vikings, the Lions, and then the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think honestly, those are all pretty decent matchups. I might want to target the Detroit Lions defense because that's one of the better matchups. The Vikings are a fine matchup, kind of middle of the pack. Same thing with the Jaguars. They're, slightly lower. So I guess given that, knowing that the Bears are facing the Minnesota Vikings, and then you have, because I was going to slightly into Rome, but if you've got the Eagles at home versus Detroit, I think I want to go AJ Brown there. So I'm saying Travion AJ Brown, but it's really close with Rome and Ladd. I think it just comes down to the matchup.
Yeah, no, I might lean Rome slightly.
Yeah.
But definitely Travion. Travion number 1. And then, flip a coin. I don't think it's that much of a difference. It's like 55-45 one way or the other. So,
yeah, and with Rome too, what did he? I'm gonna find Rome because I know Rome put up a goose egg 2 weeks ago, and then he had kind of a bounce back game this week. I'm gonna pull up his stat line now. As soon as it loads, he put up 10 targets, 6 receptions, 86 yards, and a touchdown. So really respectable 17.5 points in half point PPR after a 0-point outing. This is kind of his, optimistic outcome, but I think the ceiling is even higher than that. So I totally get it for Rome, and wanting to roll with the Bears. So I think it's very close. I like that.
yeah.
Yo, what's up? We got Tyler Emo Cowboy in the chat. What's up, brother? How we doing, my guy? Who Hames, sup, fam? What's up, my guy? Good to see you. Who Hames? Sus Edwards, good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for stopping in. We got Yuka in here. What up? What up? South. How we doing? Good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. Make sure you slap the like. I'm actually going live with Who Hames tomorrow night as well for our weekly show. We do Wednesdays. Hartman's out this week, but we're going to hold it down. Who Hames and I, we're going to talk week 11, draft a few teams, review, where we went wrong, and setting our and drafting our lineups in week 10. I didn't have any big hits, but I feel like BBG and I got close. We drafted too much Hunter Henry and he dudded. So otherwise we would have smashed. BBG and I drafted a team that had Achane and Gibbs and May and Tez Johnson, but just didn't get there because we had Hunter Henry, and I think that was the weak link that let us down. But I have to still connect with him and see if it cashed. I think that team cashed. I just don't think it did very well. I feel like we would have known already if it did well. He would have definitely talked about it. Okay, so that's kind of our advice there. Frosty wants to know, what do we do with Hendo? Sell high with Mondre still in the mix when he's healthy, or keep? I think we keep, but I think it's not like the worst idea that you would consider potentially selling high. I just think we keep, but this is, it's savvy. We've seen the rookies pop off all season long, and then a lot of times the veteran comes back in, whether it was Woody Marks or Harvey or Bill Krosky Merritt at certain times, having a big week and then fading back out and giving up touches to somebody else. I think The coaching staff's been really hard to figure out. That's the scary part because they seem to have a lot of faith in Ramondre. So if we get signals that Ramondre is coming back sooner than later, it could be a sell high. I think Ramondre is pretty exciting though, and we expect the big playability, which like that efficiency per touch, that ability to put up a 40-yard catch or run and a touchdown that swings you 10 fantasy points in a single play. That's just so rare that you really don't want to give it up.
Yeah, I mean, that's like what we play fantasy football for, is like the explosive rookie who can just like go absolutely ham and just like late season upside. So yeah, I don't really want to be trading him away unless it's just like someone really has a hard on for him and you can get like a really, really good package. Pause.
Pause. Good package. Hard on. What?
Yeah, I don't think you should sell high unless it's just like an obvious offer. So
that makes sense. Bonk. Galaxy Picker says, and also shout out what up to Hartman, to FK, to Sus Edwards. Good to see you guys. Galaxy says start Marks or Harvey this week. Marks had that 25-point last time he played the Titans. Ooh, that's a good memory there. That's a good consideration. Let's wait and see if Dobbins is in fact out. If Dobbins is out, I right, because this week I'm looking for it now. I'm scanning the Broncos. I just saw it, but I just forgot. Broncos are playing Kansas City. It's kind of a tough matchup. So because the matchup is so much better for Houston, I'm a slight lean there to Woody Marks. We know he's already got that role. He's already the lead back. He's already taken over. Chubb is relegated. Chubb's been inefficient. I think they've come around to the Woody Marks being their main guy. I think it is a slight lean to Woody Marks this week. What do you any other thoughts there, Bindles, on that one?
I think with the matchup and still the uncertainty with Dobbins, I'd probably go Marks. Ooh, this is tough. This is a tough one.
The Chiefs are kind of tough, but like, would we be surprised if Dobbins is out and Marks gets like 20 touches and just like destroys and is like a world beater? Like, also no.
Oh man, like I feel like this is just going like I feel like this is where like kind of the going through the like draft process and everything. Like I don't know. I think I do lean Harvey. Like I just think Harvey
is better in a vacuum, right?
Yeah, he's just better in a vacuum. And like, given if it's close, I just want the guy that I think is a better player, because that's like the one thing that we do know is just like, okay, I think this guy is better. So, yeah, I changed my answer. I think I'm going Harvey. I just think, I mean, if Dobbins is out, then I think it's easily him. But even if Dobbins is playing but somewhat banged up or doesn't really practice a lot of the week, then I still think Harvey can do something. So,
hell yeah! Shout out to Galaxy Pickers. I don't know if you guys know. I think a lot of you do know in the channel. You see Galaxy around. Galaxy has his own YouTube channel as well. He's a watch expert. He's got a Pickers channel where they're going and they're looking after. They're going through and looking at different items for sale and bargaining and trading. And so if you like kind of the whole world of, and I think it's really interesting, actually, it's a really cool channel. So check them out. If you like that whole world of like what, cool, interesting items you can find, go check out Galaxy Pickers. He's a real homie in the chat, always showing up, asking some good questions. He's got a little fantasy side to him, but he's got his whole channel too, his whole thing going on. So make sure you check them out. Make sure you subscribe, show him some love, to a guy, part of the community here. Frosty says sell high on Dart considering circumstances. I don't think I can sell Dart. I think Dart is a must hold, even with the injury, even with the coach firing. Dart has been undeniable. I mean, what did he put up this week? I'm about to search it real quick. He put up another 26-point game. Yes, he's potentially going to be out with a concussion. He still has the week 14 bye, but this dude is like essentially averaging 20 to 25 points a game when he's healthy. So this is like hard to ignore.
Yeah, the rushing upside, I think, just hard to sell on him. Like,
yeah,
Nothing else really matters.
It's the rushing upside. It's exactly the formula you want. Shout out to Dylan. What's up, Dylan Vega? How we doing? And Jay Hong, what's up, brother? FK, good to see you. Tyler, we're gonna catch up. We're gonna speed through these ones, catch up to y'all because we're starting to fall behind. But you know how it goes. Hope you guys are doing great on this Tuesday night. Make sure you slap that like. Make sure you turn on notifications so you know when we go live. Pretty much every Tuesday night, every Wednesday night, and then sometimes Friday, sometimes Saturday. But here to help you all out as we power through week 11 and onward to our fantasy playoffs, because I know you guys are going to make it. We're going to get there. If you're on the borderline, if you're close, come jump in the chat, say what up. Let us know your waivers, your sit starts. It's a weak waivers week.
Yeah,
it's a pretty bad week for waivers. So it's mostly rest of season outlook, trades, sit starts, those kind of things we're talking about.
Yep.
Nihal says Warren on bye. Tyler Warren. Which tight end should I stream? Schultz, Otten, Theo. Can you rank them? I feel like Otten is going to get picked up. I would do it in essentially the rank you have there, Schultz, Otten, Theo. I might have put Theo ahead of Otten if Dart was still playing, the way he targets the tight ends. But I think that's pretty fair. And I think, Schultz is the priority there.
I agree. We already answered this similar question.
Yeah, Put Daddy, my guy, says, I may not have to beat my head against the wall on the Myers-Washington decision. I'm hoping Pearsall finally gets back on the field this week. Bro, I have not heard any good news.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy. Trone 4, 6-4. Hell yeah. You got this. You can make it. Would you trade Jalen Warren and Debo for Rashee Rice and Tracy? Yes, because I want Rashee Rice. I want the best player in the trade. Give me, I would trade Jalen Warren and Debo just for Rashee Rice. I don't even care about the Tracy piece. Tracy's the nice to have, tack on, bench, stash, depth piece. Other running backs, CMC, Barkley, which I think you're good there. And then would it leave you vulnerable if CMC got injured and light at running back for
no, I
think you're totally good. No, get Rice, one of the best players in fantasy. Go get him.
Rice is nice.
I could always use some Rice. I traded for Rice back in week 5, and it's potentially going to save my home league, but I'm still struggling there. I have Bucky and CD out for most of the year, so it's been tough. Jelly says, I'm going to throw this one to Bindles, but needs a streamer QB, 4-point passing touchdown. I'm done with the Bo Nix experience and Sam Darnold bad matchup versus Rams. I mean, I like Sam Darnold, but could be a shutout. Brissett versus San Francisco, Aaron Rodgers versus Cincinnati. What are you thinking there? Kind of, what's your gut say?
I still think Darnold. I know the Rams defense is really good, but I think him and JSN have just been cooking. They have Shaheed. I think Darnold's been playing too good. I think I'm just going to roll with the quarterback that I think is playing good. Rodgers is interesting. Like, you could convince me, but it's really hard for me to play Aaron Rodgers. So who's Bo Nix playing this week?
The Broncos are facing Kansas City.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably go Darnold. Just, I feel the best about how he's playing right now. So just lean with that.
Brissett's not bad either. Aaron Rodgers is kind of hit or miss and has obviously a lower floor because he's never going to run the ball, but he's a good touchdown rate in his passing. I think Brissett's been pretty nice, and San Francisco is not the worst matchup. So I'm leaning Sam Darnold, but I wouldn't mind Brissett either.
Yeah, that makes sense.
South wants to know, would you drop Bill, Krosky, Merritt? I'm going to play the clip, but we're going to be sad about it this time. Bill Nye, the benched guy. Without Jaden Daniels, with this offense just in a bad spot, missing a lot of skill position players. I mean, the Commanders aren't doing so good. I think it is possible that you could bench / drop Bill. Any other thoughts there? Tech issues?
No, I think that makes sense to me. I feel like, yeah, it's not the situation we wanted for Bill. It's okay. Get him next.
He's still, I mean, over the last 3 games, he's averaging like 11 rushing attempts. He's just not really ever catching any balls. And so unless he breaks off a big run, which he hasn't done since week 5, unless he gets a touchdown, which he hasn't done since week 5, it's just not in the cards. And this offense is not one you want to invest in right now. So I think it's fair.
Yeah, I agree.
Yuka, what's up, brother? Howdy. Hope you're well. Hey, thanks. Hope you are too, man. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Traded Javonte Williams. Ooh, for Kyron and Rashid Shaheed. Any thoughts? I mean, here's the thing. Javonte Williams has been insanely good, but Kyron is kind of in that same tier.
Yeah.
And I will say, maybe even a slightly better offense. The Cowboys have been a good offense as well, but I'm looking at the data here, and this is fair. This is very fair. Javonte 9 touchdowns, Kyron 8. They're both at about 0.8 something fantasy points per touch. Kyron's had 168 touches. Javonte's had 164. These are like the most similar 2 players you could possibly compare, like Kyron to Javonte. I think Javonte was a little bit more consistent with it, but Kyron might have just a slightly higher ceiling on the Rams. And if you're getting Shaheed with that, and if you need to start Shaheed and you think he gets more involved with the Seattle offense soon, and he actually gets to, like, not just a blowout that he's getting, snaps, then I think this is totally fair. I mean, to me, it's so close. If you get the cherry on top, that's Rashid Shaheed, and he actually hits your lineup a few times with some nice weeks, like we've seen him do. We've seen him put up some nice weeks this season. Then I'm in. I think it's fair.
I kind of agree. I kind of think the Kyron side. I think better offense. I don't know. Javonte, I just still have like Javonte bias. Like, I know he's been really good, but I don't know. It's like one of those situations where I still feel like the wheels could just fall off at some point, and maybe that's just my own biases. But I think Kyron's just so locked in, good offense. I'm rolling with that side. Shaheed, unfortunately, I don't know. Like, any player that gets traded midseason, especially a wide receiver, it's just really hard for them to kind of like do anything. So I think he could come into his own, but I wouldn't be betting on it. Is what I'm saying.
That's a good point about the midseason trade. It is tough to get acclimated. I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic, but at the same time, I think for the time being in my home league where I do have Rashid Shaheed, I've been starting him like all season. Like I said, it's 3 wide receivers and a flex and super flex. So, I mean, I'm usually starting him in my flex when I had Shaheed in there, but I'm starting Trey Tucker over him this week. I'm starting Ted Johnson over him this week. I would be starting Alec Pierce over him, but Alec Pierce on a bye. So that's just give you an idea of kind of what I think about Shaheed. I want to see it to believe it again, but I do believe he can be good and definitely worth a flex.
Yeah, fair.
We got Zion Mulligan here and FK Coolers. What's up? Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday night. Thanks for being here again. Make sure you vote in the poll. Make sure you slap that like button. But yeah, go vote in that poll. I'm going to close that poll in like the next minute or two. We'll hammer through these questions. Of course, we have Tyler, a.k.a. Emo Cowboy. You guys know him. You guys love him. We got a Typhal Tower stream tomorrow night. Looking forward to that, as always, on Wednesdays. Yep. Shout out to the boys. Frosty wants to know, do you like Marvin as a buy low target? What do you think about that one, Bindles? Are you in on Marvin Harrison Jr., what he's been doing lately? You think it's worth it?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think Brissett is just so much better at supporting his pass catching weapons than Kyler was. So, yeah, I think Marv, like, I get it. He disappointed, and he's had his ups and downs, but I still think he has some upside.
He's getting a shit ton of targets. It's like it's bound to happen. I think it's fair, right? Like he's definitely and there's Mike Bride's there, but he's definitely like the guy. We just saw Zay Jones go down with the torn Achilles. So there's this one more less guy to command targets even if it's just a few.
No, I think you could have a very strong into the season. I do.
Sus saying that, and also shout out to Who Hames. Who Hames and I going live tomorrow night. Check it out for sure.
Oh, yeah.
AJ Brown might find himself in the doghouse for the stunning fold late last night. Something to watch for. That's a good thing too. There's always the vibe check on what's going on with AJ Brown. He's kind of a diva and has been, I don't know. That is something to watch out for. Devonta Smith has been cooking as well. Good to see you, Sus. Hope you're doing well, brother. Hope your teams are advancing. Hey, gents. Good to see you still on the grind in week 11. AFK. Good to see you here, my man. Hope you're having a great week. Thanks for stopping by in the questions. We'll catch up with you in a sec. Hartman says, HH was such a surprise disappointment this week. Who are we talking about? Why am I? Oh, Hunter Henry. Yep. Yeah, Hunter Henry. I was like, what? Yeah, Hunter Henry. Yeah, definitely disappointment. What stunt? Referring to AJ Brown. Would you prefer Swift or Chase Brown rest of season? It's become closer. I was going to be an obvious Swift, Swifty, but then Chase Brown's been coming on strong and Swift has been injured and giving up some work to Monangai. So I'm a little bit torn, but Bindles, do you have any thoughts on the Swift versus Chase Brown rest of season?
Oh man, this is rough. I kind of still want Swift. I just kind of feel a little bit better about the Ben Johnson offense, but it's very close. It's very close.
You think still just the Bears?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think Monagai, we were talking about him last week. Like, I think he's fine, but I don't know. I still think Swift is like just the better player at this point. So, I don't know. I guess it's tough. It's tough. I think I'm going Chase Brown. I feel like I like the Flacco-led offense. It seems I'm switching my answer.
Okay. Billy says Bill is killing me. Had to start him in a 14-team league and still not a good idea. That's crazy because the volume is there, but just the efficiency is not. And I don't know if that's the offensive line problems and the offensive line injuries and the struggle. I think that's part of it because I think given 11 plus opportunities as he's had the last 3 weeks, you would expect more production, more output, and it just hadn't been there. So it's kind of disappointing. Cham says, rank these three: Swift, Chase Brown, or Breece Hall. If we're talking rest of season, honestly, based on what we've seen out of Breece Hall the last 2 weeks, I'm coming back to Breece Hall a little bit more than I thought I would. So I would go Breece Hall, and then it is kind of a toss-up between Swift and Chase Brown, but I'm going to lean Swift given health. Obviously, if Swift is not healthy and missing games, we're going to go Chase Brown there. But Chase Brown is redeeming himself. He's coming on strong the second half of the season. He's starting to score touchdowns. He's always had a good workload, but he's starting to be that guy that we thought he could be a little bit more. So it's actually close. To me, Breece Hall is still the big play guy you want. And I was out on Breece Hall as early as 2 weeks ago. I'm back in. For Chase Brown and Swift, it's pretty close, but still slightly into Swift. Yo, what's up, Jason Calhoun? How we doing, brother? Good to see you. Dylan Vega wants to know, I'll throw this one to Bindles. Monangai, Spears, or DeMercado? I'm assuming this is a weekly question, but we could answer it both, weekly and rest of season.
That's a very good question. I think I'm going Monagai, which would go against my last answer, but I think I'm going Monagai, Spears, DeMercado. I just don't think DeMercado. I just don't trust in that. It's been such a weird backfield the whole season. Monagai, kind of 1B right now, so pretty good value. And then Spears, I think Spears is good, and he's, splitting work, and he does have upside, but the offense is just so bad. I can't do it. Let's see what else is going on. Yeah, how do you guys feel about the AJ Brown situation? Suss is saying Eagles beat reporters saying that AJ Brown told Hurts to audible on the inexplicable 4th down pass attempt last night. They're supposed to just take a penalty and and punt. Coaches were crashing out. I feel like AJ Brown is going through it. Like he's having his typical wide receiver diva, it's kind of time in your career where it's like you kind of feel like you should be hitting your stride, and he's stuck on the Eagles, just not getting that many targets and whatnot. Classic wide receiver behavior, which you have to love. And I don't know. I think he's going to be somewhere else next year. That's just a gut feeling. Like I don't have any evidence to support that, but I just feel like AJ Brown does not want to be there anymore. Would be my thoughts. So
Totally makes sense. Ferguson or Kittle rest of season? I think Kittle. Ferguson's been good. I think Kittle. What, Bindles? Do you have any more kind of one way or the other?
I think I'm going Kittle. Yeah, he hasn't really done that much yet, but I still think he's the kind of guy where he can just go on a hot streak. That's kind of how he's always been. So I want Kittle. Like he can just cook for a sustained stretch of 3 to 5 games to end the season. So I'd rather have that. Ferguson with CD and Pickens, I just feel like he's just not the same guy he was earlier in the season. So yeah, I think Kittle just upside there.
100%. Prescott or Mayfield? I'm gonna go Prescott. I think it is close, and Mayfield, got that dog, but I think it's Prescott there. And then rank these: Prescott, Mayfield, Stafford. That's where, honestly,
that's tough.
That's where it gets tougher. And if we're just looking at it, Stafford is like the QB7 on the season. He's been on fire lately, coming off of his bye week, but Dak Prescott's been like the QB10, kind of up and down. I think Stafford might have a slightly higher floor right now, which is the way that he's performing. So
I think it might be Stafford. I think it might
be Stafford, right? Is that so crazy?
Nah, bro. He's throwing a Puka and freaking Devontae Adams, and he's just absolutely cooking. So I think it's Stafford for redraft. Yeah. Nobody's playing better than Stafford right now in the whole league. Like nobody. From like a passing perspective. Like
yeah, 100%. I think we go Stafford very close behind Prescott, and then a little gap, and then Mayfield.
Yep. All right, I gotta head out. Because I gotta wake up early in the morning. So have a great night, Candyman. Chat. Have a great night. I will be streaming more often. So make sure to support this guy over here. He's been grinding. So have a good night.
Hey, appreciate you. Thanks for joining. Bindles, always good to see you. Catch you in another one real soon, my man. Peace. Oh, looking sharp. Oh, look at that guy. What a stud. What a stud, this guy. Hey, always good to have Bindles on. Always good to catch up. A true ball knower. Great guy. And always fun to catch up and see what Bindles is up to. The dude is... he's something, right? What a stud. Let's get right into where we leave off with the questions. Always fun cutting it up. So as far as these ones, Champagne, I think that's even tougher. I'm gonna look up Caleb Williams because I just want to know exactly what I'm talking about here. It feels like, yeah, Caleb's right in there. Exactly what I thought. Stafford is paid off the best because of the cost you would have paid to get him, kind of thing. But I'm gonna go Stafford. Little bit of a gap to Prescott, but I might throw Williams ahead. It's between the two, right? You might argue Williams because of the rushing upside. So let's go Stafford and then a tie, slightly into Williams, then Prescott, and then Mayfield. A good question. Streets saying Dobbins is an IR candidate depending on the injury. He's missing 2 to 6 weeks. It sounds like, damn. Yeah, even without the IR, he probably is missing at least a game or two, we think, right? So that's kind of crazy. We've been kind of talking about the Harvey implications and rest of season outlook. So I think that is really interesting. Jay Hang, what's up, brother? Jay Hang 20 says, you think Joe Burrow will be better than Dak? He's on my waiver. I don't know, because like we've seen Dak be a top 10 QB already. Joe Burrow's coming back from the injury, and like, when does he come back? The coaching staff specifically, I will let you know on this. So it was today, or no, it was actually yesterday. Zach Taylor was talking to the press, and they said about the decision to open Joe Burrow's 21-day practice window. Zach Taylor says, quote, I think he's ready for this part of the recovery to come back in limited basis and progress it on the field with the players. I think he's in a good point internally. This was always a good timeline for us. He's worked really hard to get going to this point, yada, yada, yada. And then they ask him on the chances of Burrow playing this week. He says, we're not looking at him playing Sunday. The timeline will be beyond this week. So it's truly week to week. I think with Joe Burrow, is he playing in week 14? Maybe. I'm going to roll with Dak until then. If you can stash Burrow, I don't think it's a bad idea to stash him, especially if you have the IR spot. But even if you don't, you might just want to stash him and give up one of those excess wide receivers or tight ends or defenses you might be holding on to, depending on your league. Oof. And then their bye week coming up too with week 12. It's a pretty, it doesn't seem great. So that'd be interesting, right, FK? That's the whole Dobbins situation. South wants to know Green Bay or ATL defense this week. I'm a slight lean to Green Bay with the matchup. I mean, they're a good defense. I think Green Bay against New York without Dart is a good spot to be in, versus thinking that the Atlanta Falcons are going to be hosting the Carolina Panthers. That's also a pretty good matchup, but I think I'm still a lean to the Packers. Yo, what's up, Johnny? How we doing? Jelly of the month. Good to see you as always. Zymolik. Love the profile picture as well. Says his 12 team PPR. He's 5-5. He's doing good. You're 5-5. You're fighting for the playoffs. You can do this. He's got Love and JD5. So Love's holding it down for right now, right? Cook, Hindi, Sharps, Mason, Amari DiMercado. So pretty weak at running back. I get that we bought into Henderson. He's now starting to pay off. Cook has been nice. Charbonnet is all right. Mason's been a disappointment, unfortunately. DiMercado is flexible, especially now that we know that Bam Knight's going to be missed some time, been out for a while. JSN, hell yeah, nice. Lamb, Pickens, Debo. Okay, I'm starting to see where your draft capital went. The wide receivers are very nice. Alec Pierce going to be filling in. He's on a bye week right now. Got Myers, I think. And then Goddard, which is nice. Nobody wants to trade an RB2 with me. Any suggestions? 12th place is 4 and 6. Wow. So it's a really tight race. You're going to be good going forward with Cook and Henderson. I would not be afraid to flex Charbonnet or DiMercado or Mason, given the matchup, given the week. And then your wide receivers seem very nice. Debo, obviously, without Jaden Daniels is tough, but maybe he comes back, maybe he doesn't. Wanting an RB2, I think you're good with Henderson coming on strong as your RB2 for the meanwhile. And I don't know if you can kind of attack the waivers to cover your impending buy for Henderson or Alec Pierce on the buy right now. But otherwise, you're in a pretty good spot, I think. Not a whole lot of suggestions there. I don't know what running backs you're going to be able to like waiver for at this point. That's really worth it. Better than those guys. Steelers have the highest implied team total in all of week 11. Not a fan, but if ever there was a time, is that right? The Steelers against the Bengals have the highest implied point total. I mean, I could see it because it's a 48.5 over under, Pitt minus 5.5. So it's, that's interesting. Wow. That just speaks to the matchups this week. So it potentially is a time to lean into the Pittsburgh players. Jelly says, doing waivers, have Bucky on IR, half PPR. Should I grab Sean Tucker? Yes. I'd have to drop RB4 Pollard since RB limits. Well, Tennessee coming off of the bye. They're facing Houston this week. I don't honestly think I would drop Pollard for Sean Tucker, but it's like that close. Sean Tucker has not done. Oh, excuse me. Sean Tucker has not done enough to like warrant the pickup, even though he's getting used more and more, and they're starting to like fade a little bit on Rashad White. I think Pollard's slightly better, but I don't love it. Yeah, Frosty, that makes sense. Like not selling low on BTJ. I would try to sell on Keenan Allen. Then was kind of my other suggestion on that one. Johnny says start Bo Nix against a tough Chiefs defense. It's a divisional matchup, or Geno Smith against a weak Cowboys defense. I'm gonna lean to Geno Smith there because we do know that the Cowboys are essentially the best matchup in fantasy for opposing wide receivers, for their top 5 for opposing quarterbacks. So this is the rare situation where I think I do lean to Geno there over Nix, but I wouldn't. There's a case to be made for Nix. Obviously, he's been highly volatile, right? Okay, Sus with the intel. I love this. Sus is saying that AJ Brown told Hurts to audible on that inexplicable 4th down pass attempt last night. They were supposed to just take a penalty and punt, and coaches were crashing out. Interesting. If Dart doesn't play, which is likely, do I do Purdy if he plays Nix? Purdy if he plays, or Nix, or Love. I think in this case, like we were just saying, it's a tough matchup for Nix, but he's at home at least. Purdy, if he's back against Arizona, is a fine matchup, but like, is Purdy back? And like, what's he going to look like in his first game back? Love with the Packers, and we talked about this game in terms of the matchup for defenses, at least. I think Love against the New York Giants could be nice. So give me Love, then give me Nix, then give me Purdy. I want to see it from Purdy, but look at what Mac Jones has been able to do with the 49ers. I think Purdy can get that going pretty quickly with when he's healthy, but like, I just don't know. I kind of need to see it to believe it. So I'd lean into Love on that one. Yo, Jason Calhoun, good to see you, brother. Jump ahead to 2026 draft season. I mean, we're almost there, honestly. We're getting there faster than we can even imagine. Don't blink. Good to see you, brother. Hope your season's going well. FK says, I'm sure AJ Brown is a little frustrated, but also think the media ran wild with this. Could be both, right? It's fun to play into that narrative that AJ Brown is upset and things like that. Sus says, after last night, I'd agree. Bindles, AJ Brown trade is incoming. That's just like the vibes that we've been getting since the Super Bowl and since the Super Bowl run for the Eagles, right? And where do we want to see AJ Brown go is the question. Yeah, peace out to Bindles. Glad he could join tonight. Apologize for the slight delay in getting started tonight. We had some technical difficulties, but nothing. You know how it is. I was already running naturally a little bit late with my bedtime for putting my kids down, and then we had some technical difficulties with some audio issues, but we get through it, power through, and we're just glad to be here, having fun, talking week 11, chilling with you all in the chat. So thanks for being here again. Be growing stuff. Hey, what's up, brother? How we doing? Good to see you. Who's the pickup for the Jets with Wilson missing time? I guess it just really is Mason Taylor. I don't think there's much else there, or else it's just Breece Hall. And I mean, we saw the Jets getting it done with their special teams. So, is it Tyler Johnson? I don't think so. I think it's just Breece Hall or Mason Taylor or bust. And I think Mason Taylor can consolidate some of these targets going forward, potentially. How valuable are those targets? I don't even know. The Jets' passing offense couldn't be much worse. So I don't know if there's a great pickup. It's kind of a surprisingly thin week for waivers. I do feel like at this point later in the season, we naturally get to that point where there's not always a good waiver pickup. Hey, what's up, Michael? How we doing, brother? Should I trade Algier and Franklin or Parker Washington for Stafford? Okay. I mean, I think yes. Let's see what the team is. Team is Caleb, Jaden Daniels, obviously, yeah, on IR. Kyron, Dowdle. I like those two running backs. Chase Brown looking pretty good. Woody, I love that. Corum, you're doing good. You got Algier, so it's nice. Isaiah Davis, depth piece, probably don't need him, but Igbuka, Pickens, Franklin, Parker, Washington, PPR, 2 wide receiver. So I like the idea of getting Stafford. I do rank Stafford ahead of Caleb Williams rest of season and kind of how it's looking, but I don't mind getting rid of Algier at all. I feel like Franklin and Parker or Washington are kind of nice on your team. Yes, you've got Igbuka and Pickens, and they've both already had their buys. I'm just kind of rolling with them rest of season. But if you're consistently flexing Chase Brown or Woody, then it makes sense that you wouldn't really need that 4th wide receiver. So now I see where you're coming from. I would, whatever one you feel less comfortable with, if you want to trade Franklin, if you want to trade Parker, I think I slight lean to Franklin. At the same time, we just saw Travis Hunter go down for the season, so tough to definitively say there. But I think it's totally worth it to trade that, one of those wide receivers with Algier and then upgrade to Stafford. I think it could be nice for your team. You'll probably be able to pick up a wide receiver off of waivers that can fill in for your wide receiver 4 spot if needed. You might not even ever need it rest of season, just given the fact your running backs are so deep. You're mostly going to be flexing those guys. Even with Dowdle, with the week 14 bye, you've got Chase Brown now and Woody Marks that are going to cover. So, and then you've got Corum handcuffed to Kyron. Like, you're pretty solid. So I'm cool with that idea. B. Growing Stuff wants to know, pick up Otten or Taylor. This week, Otten plays Buffalo. It's kind of a tough matchup. Taylor is just a Jet. And so that's kind of not ideal. I think the Patriots, I don't think they're that bad of a matchup for tight ends. Let me just scroll through. Are they literally one of the worst? No, they're not. They're not. The Patriots are a totally fine matchup for tight end. Yeah. Yeah, they're totally a fine matchup for tight end. So it's a Thursday night game. It's kind of different. It's kind of, but I think in this situation, yeah, Mason Taylor. It's the only thing that's giving me pause is just like this Jets passing offense. And how much faith do you want to have in like the Jets, right? So rough week in week 10 against Cleveland, 2 targets, 1 reception for Mason Taylor. The week before that on a bye, but the week before that against Cincinnati, 8 for 5 and 34 with a touchdown. I think the floor is lower for Mason Taylor 100% because of the lack of passing volume. So given that, I think I might actually change my mind. Yeah, I have to change my mind. It has to be Cade Otton. And I think I was just kind of optimistic about either the matchup or just the potential for Mason Taylor to consolidate some of these targets in that offense, but there's not enough to consolidate. You want a piece of the Buccaneers. Their passing offense is just better. It's just good. Baker Mayfield has ups and downs, but he's just good. He's still going to get there. Cade Otton doesn't have a touchdown this season. He's still, borderline tight end 2. And over the last 4 weeks when he's active, averaging like 6-7 receptions a game, 8-9 targets a game, and about 50-60 receiving yards. So if he has a touchdown, he could actually have a tight end 1 kind of scoring output for a week. So I forget where it was earlier. We were talking about Cade Otton. I think I just hadn't thought it through enough. Give me Cade Otton. Who are we comparing it to earlier? I have to scroll back a little bit to see. I feel like we talked about Cade Otton earlier, but I can't remember which tight end we compared him to. We definitely talked about him, but yeah, I like Otton over Taylor, and it's surprisingly not as close as I thought it was. It's kind of like Otton up here, borderline tight end 1 territory, kind of in that top 15 tight ends right now, and Mason Taylor is like borderline tight end 2, kind of in that top 20 range for me. Frosty wants to know Falcons or Packers D. Give me the Packers D. Let's take the Packers. Assuming Dart obviously is out, they're going up against Russell Wilson, New York Jets. So that seems like, 43.5 over under. Green Bay's favored by 7.5. Let's do that one. The Falcons, it's going to be a closer game hosting the Panthers. They're only a favorite by 3.5 points, 42.5 over under. So let's go Packers there, I think. Yeah, what's up, G Santos? How we doing tonight, brother? Oh, make sure you guys slap the like on the stream. Make sure you guys have voted in the poll. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to hop in there and close the poll now on YouTube. So the question is, who do you like better as a play for rest of season outlook? Are you going to vote for Luther Burden? You're going to vote for Tez Johnson? Give me your last opinions. We've got 28 votes. Very nice. Very nice. Only 20 likes on the stream. So more votes than likes, but sometimes it happens. Do me a favor. If you haven't already liked the stream, make sure you've liked it. Helps me out. Costs you nothing. It's free. And support the channel. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being subscribed. Thanks for saying what up in the chat. We got to get one more vote. We got to get one more vote for this poll. If you haven't voted already, it's 50-50 right now. I'm spoiling it, but I want to see if we can get, you can be the last vote. If you want to be the last vote on this poll, Luther Burden or Tez Johnson, rest of season outlook, vote in the poll. I'm going to close it in 30 seconds. We'll answer these questions. G Santos wants to know he's not comfortable with Chase Brown as my RB1. I've been so out on Chase Brown every single week this season until like the last 2 weeks. He's actually kind of turned it around. They just had their bye week, but before that he was doing pretty good. Which one should I trade, Pickens or Nico? And what running back would be a fair trade? I would advise not trading Pickens or Nico. These are going to be really hard to get good value for, but let me just throw out some names and see what you think. So given that Nico Collins had a good week and Pickens on a bye, sometimes out of sight, out of mind, but Pickens has been one of those guys this season that you want to have. If I'm giving up Nico, I want something that's worth it. What we thought would have been worth it going into the season, maybe a slight downgrade, but like if you can get Kyron Williams, I don't think you can get Josh Jacobs. I don't think you can get James Cook. But if you can get Kyron Williams, I don't think you can get Devon Achane, especially after this last week. There's not a chance. If you can get Rico Dowdle, that's where I think that's also, I think, in the range. And I think Pickens is in a similar tier. With Pickens, I might ask for slightly more. But I'm asking expensive prices. I ideally want a guy like Kyron, Javonte Williams. Can you get a James Cook? Can you get a Josh Jacobs? I don't know. Dowdle is probably like as low as I'm willing to go. And I think I like Dowdle. So that's like, I like Dowdle a lot. But I think that's about as low as I'm willing to go, given you really need running back and you somehow can afford wide receiver. But at the same time, I'm not really advocating trading Pickens or Nico at this time. Jalen Hurts or Drake May for rest of season, it's hard to say. I don't know. Are we starting to go to Drake May? But for this week, because the matchup, you have Drake May versus the New York Jets. You have on Thursday night, and then on Sunday night, the other end of the spectrum, you have Hurts versus Detroit. The only thing I'll say, I think it's close. It's super close. The only thing I'll say is just a slight lean in the matchup. Would say you want to go after the matchup against the Detroit Lions for your quarterback. It's a top 3 matchup. At the same time, the Jets are kind of a top 8 matchup. So coin flip, I'm slightly leaning Hurts, but it's hard to bench May, of course. Hey, what's up? What's up, G Santos? How we doing? Michael says, good job, my brother. Always here listening. Thanks for the help as always. Hey, appreciate you. Thank you for being a part of the channel. Thank you for supporting and having fun. We're just, it's week 11. We're trying to win our leagues. We're trying to get to the playoffs, and we can all help each other, trying to get better every week. So shout out to you guys. Thanks for being here, making it fun. Also have JSN, but that's an automatic no, right? Yeah. We can't move JSN. He's like impossible to move at this point. If I add Chase Brown, thinking maybe Achane. So if I'm adding Chase Brown, I'm aiming very high, and you're buying high on Achane. He was cheaper like every other week before last week, but I would go for Achane. I would go for Cook. I would go for Gibbs, but I don't think you can get him. I'd go for Bijan. I would go for Josh Jacobs. I think, but you have to be careful because like you're giving up a lot with both Nico and Pickens. They've done so much. I mean, Pickens has done so much all season. Nico's kind of coming on strong. I still view Pickens, and he's had it's been slowed down a little bit, but I still view him rest of season like a top 24 wide receiver. And I think for Nico, I view him rest of season like a top 18 receiver. And I'm being a little bit conservative. If you're going to pair one of them with Chase Brown, who's come on nicely lately, I do want a top somewhere between a top 10 and a top 5 running back if you think you can manage it. So if you've got some depth at your other positions and you can kind of like consolidate upwards to one better starter, it could be worth it. Hey, yo, what's up, Galaxy? Wants to know, start Diggs or a Dunze. I have May at QB, also Harvey or Marks this week. Yeah, it's a tough one. We were talking earlier with Bindles. I think you asked her, maybe someone just had the exact same question, but Bindles was a slight lean to Harvey this week, even though they're playing the Chiefs and it's a tough matchup, and the Texans actually have a slightly easier matchup against the Titans, where I think you were the one who even said it. Like Marks went off against the Titans than the first one. Who do we prefer? I prefer Marks. If Dobbins is for sure out, which it sounds like he will be, I think it's very fair. It's very even to maybe go Harvey, actually. But so that's going to be tough. They both might be like must starts. If you have to pick one or the other, it's really tough. The matchup's slightly better for Marks. The matchup is much better for Marks, but I think the opportunity could be huge for Harvey too if Dobbins is out. At the same time, it's hard to predict the Sean Payton offense and which running backs are going to get the snaps. How much is Bidet involved? McLaughlin, guys like that. Diggs or Odunze? I think I'm slightly leaning to Odunze. And Diggs has been good lately too. Odunze has been kind of like up and down. I still like Diggs. But at the same time, I think it's a slight lean to Odunze. Let's see. Over the last, Odunze had that 0, so we have to make up for that. Like, I'm gonna look at Diggs real quick. Yeah, I think Odunze still. Diggs has been on a touchdown streak, but his targets and receptions haven't been that insanely good. The Patriots are a good team. They're a good passing team. A lot of injuries at wide receiver. So it's actually really close, especially if DJ Moore is hurt going forward. That gives us more reason to think Rome Odunze can kind of consolidate those targets. I'm going to say a slight lean to Rome Odunze, but I don't mind Diggs this week. Speaking of Stephon Diggs, did you know he's a great guy?
Diggs.
Stephon Diggs.
Diggs is the guy.
Diggs. 100%.
I'm a great guy. I'm actually a great guy. There's actually seems to be a few guys that don't think that.
Diggs is a great guy. Big Rank Stuff says pick one, Chase Brown, Woody Marks, or Ken Walker. Given the matchup, Cincinnati at Pittsburgh seems fine. Woody Marks at Tennessee Titans is incredible. Ken Walker in Seattle, they are facing the Los Angeles Rams, a very tough matchup. I would rank them this way, and it sounds crazy, but if Marks is the starter, if Marks is the guy, give me Marks, give me Brown, give me Walker last. Appreciate y'all for being here. Fun as always. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday night. Have a great Wednesday. I'll catch you live again tomorrow night, Wednesday, here in the Fantasy Football Garage. I'm going live with Who Hames for our weekly show. We're going to talk everything week 11. We're going to draft some teams on Underdog, some dailies, do some dog bowl qualifiers, all that good stuff. So we'll see y'all there tomorrow night. Make sure. Oh, let's close the poll. Let's close the poll. I'm ending the poll. Boom. Tez Johnson has the better rest of season outlook. 52% of the vote went to Tez Johnson, 48% to Luther Burden. Can you even believe it? GG's. Thank you. Thank you, Big Rush. Always good to see you. Yo, what's up, George Play? Last question of the night. We'll send it to the outro. Sup, man? How we doing? How we doing? Need 2 running backs, non-PPR. I got you. Henderson, Harvey, Marks, or Benson if he plays. I'm out on the Cardinals. If Benson plays, we'll wait and see. Even when Benson plays, he wasn't that good. But there's hope. He plays the Bengals in week 17, so there's that to look out for. We've been talking all night about like the Harvey versus the Marks. I'm a slight lean to Marks because the matchup against the Titans is very favorable. Harvey against the Chiefs is pretty tough, but if Dobbins is out, and it sounds like he will be, I mean, I think Harvey could get the most touches he's seen all season. So that's kind of exciting. Let's go Henderson, Marks, Harvey, Benson. That's how I'm ranking it. Have a great night, everyone. Catch y'all tomorrow here, same time, 9:30 p.m. Central, 10:30 Eastern. Catch y'all tomorrow night for that stream. Thanks for being here. Smash the like on your way out. Leave a comment if you have any follow-up questions, sit starts, or anything, waivers for the rest of the week. Peace out, everyone.